Please be seated. So were you listening? Did you pay attention? Any greedy people here today? Not me. Well, let's think about it together. Talking about, amongst other things, the subject of prosperity, meaning in this particular case, money. Bet you're just really glad to hear me talk about money today. So, money, material wealth, something good, something worthy of our pursuit, something dangerous to our soul, perhaps. Always? Well, at least sometimes, apparently. But then on the other hand, does not the Bible tell us, particularly in the Old Testament, that this is something that God promises and wills for his faithful children? Go back, read through. It's there over and over and over again. Follow me, go in my ways, obey my laws, and you're going to be wealthy. Well, now here's a question to think about. Do you think that in our American culture, it would be possible to get elected to public office without promising money or wealth to the voters? I don't think I've heard of any candidates for the office just recently who haven't said, in effect, vote for me. You're going to be wealthy. So that was one subject. The other subject, of course, is the subject of unfairness, and particularly unfairness in the matter of material wealth, the way wealth is distributed in our world. The need to stand up for our rights when others are claiming more than their fair share of available wealth. Drives us crazy, doesn't it? Well, it seems to me that both of these are questions that were being addressed in today's reading from Luke's Gospel. Luke begins with an unnamed man coming up to Jesus with a complaint about his brother. My brother is claiming more than his fair share of the family inheritance, and he expects that Jesus will share his outrage. After all, he is thinking, any proper Messiah, you are the Messiah, Jesus, aren't you? Any proper Messiah should have fairness very high on the list of objectives for the new world of God's kingdom that he has come to establish. Aren't you for fairness, Jesus? Tell my brother to make sure that I get my share. I'm wondering if you have noticed, I feel rather sure that you have, that in the case of children, sensitivity to unfairness seems to be something that they manage to acquire without any need to be taught it. Did you notice that if you raise children? Just automatic. Boy, they're onto it. They know about unfairness and they don't like it. Unfairness as it affects them, perhaps not quite so much when it comes to others. We're not any different, from the children. Anything wrong with that? What do you think? Well, Jesus gives a response to the man's complaint and his request in a way that might surprise us. Here is what he says, in effect. He says, if you are thinking that my mission is first and foremost about seeing to it that you and others in your position are never cheated out of their fair share of their entitlements, you're going to need to think again. Pretty annoying, don't you think? And then he goes on to give a word of warning, serious warning. Beware. A heavy word. Beware. Look out. Be on your guard against what? Were you listening? Be on your guard against greed. An ugly word. Greed. Implying thereby that the man's greedy brother may not be the only person in the situation who has this particular affliction. It's out there. And it's very easy to catch. So, Jesus has a message for the angry brother. And I would suggest also a message for us. And here it is. Life, real life, is not about accumulating as much wealth as is humanly possible. And if I am guided by that goal, he says to me, I will very soon lose the ability to distinguish enough from more than enough. Tell yourself the truth. Don't you have to admit that that sort of distinction, that target moves around, And what was once enough, suddenly we scratch our heads and we say, well, maybe I need a little more. I need more than enough. So our storehouses, it would seem that they hardly ever prove to be large enough to contain that little bit more that we imagine we need in order to reach true satisfaction. And so we find ourselves right in the middle of the story. Let's call it the story of the foolish farmer. A whole bunch of foolish farmers, I'm sorry, including me, of course. So simply put, we are being reminded that our life in this world can't come to an end at any moment. And whatever material wealth we have accumulated, it's an old saying, you can't take it with you. We can't take it with us. And that being the case, what is truly urgent for us is this, that we should be building up a different treasure house, a different treasure, a treasure house where we are storing up a different kind of treasure that can never be lost, never be destroyed. That we should become not rich in earthly treasure. That very intriguing expression that Jesus used at the end, were you listening? He says, rich toward God. Rich in God. And I've been scratching my head a lot, sort of thinking about that. And I'm sorry, I'm going to make you go away and scratch your head too. But it means something really very essential, very important. Yes, indeed, it's important to be rich. But not rich in the way in which the politicians and our culture tells us they're going to make us, but rich in God, rich toward God. I'm sure you remember that elsewhere Jesus says this. He says, "Do not lay up for yourselves treasures on earth, but lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where moth and rust do not corrupt, and where thieves do not break through and steal." I'm going to send you away this morning simply with that very basic question to ponder. Maybe even you could discuss it. Imagine that amongst yourselves. What does it mean? What does it mean to be rich toward God, or the other translation, rich in God? It's the only thing that really counts if we can trust the word of Jesus. What does it mean to be rich